everyone. Today we have a fun collaging and printmaking project. So we're going to be making swirly spring bouquets. The first step will be to learn how to do paper marbling, which is a fun process that leaves you with really fun swirly pattern paper. And then we will cut those shapes up and create a bouquet that represents maybe flowers in your neighborhood, blossoming trees that you've noticed around town, or even you can go pick out some wildflowers nearby to inspire your collage. So we'll go over materials next, and then we will jump right in. I hope you enjoy this activity. For this project, we're gonna need an aluminum pan, a can of shaving cream, plastic gloves, a variety of white paper. I have just a handful of copy paper and some cardstock as well. Either one works. Food coloring, toothpicks, and later we're gonna use a variety of fun papers. You can use any color paper that you have, or even newspapers or magazines, anything from your recycling bin. And we will use the scissors and glue stick later for collaging. Okay, so I put on my plastic gloves to keep my hands clean since we're working with food coloring. And I'm gonna take the top off of the shaving cream. We're gonna give a nice thin layer of shaving cream. You don't have to fill the whole pan, but you do want the whole bottom of the pan to be covered. This is the really fun part. Okay, so now we do want to smooth it down a little bit. So since I have my gloves, I'm just going to take my fingers and hold the pan with my other hand and smooth this down so it's kind of even. So think about if you're making maybe a pie crust or rolling out pizza dough, you'd want it to look kind of even. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay. So I'm going to take off that one glove and put it to the side or in the trash. To get started with the food coloring, try just a few drops. You don't have to put too much. You can always add more. And I like to start with only 2 colors and see how they mix and see what other colors they make. And I can always add in another color. So I'm putting a bunch of this yellowy color in there. And I think I'm gonna go with the green. So first we're gonna have a yellow-green swirl. So take the toothpick once you've put several drops of food coloring out. And now it's just time to swirl. So you can really go whatever direction you like. And the point is to make a cool design. This is called marbling because it looks a little bit like a marble. And you're making your own marble pattern with the colors that you choose. You can see that the green and yellow are mixing a little bit here. So maybe I might end up with some light green areas, depending on how much I mix this. Yellow and green kind of make a lime green, so I might get some lime green spaces. Okay, so I'm almost ready to do my first marble print. Okay, I'm going to put my toothpick right there. Then I'm going to take a piece of copy paper and press it down evenly on the top. So you don't want to wiggle it around too much once you press it down. Just lightly press it. And the food coloring is going to come up onto the paper. You'll also have some shaving cream come on the paper, and we'll wipe that off later. You can see it coming through already. It looks pretty cool. So I'm just pressing it down to make sure that all the food coloring makes contact with the white paper. Okay, and I'm going to peel it back gently. Very cool. So I'm going to let that dry for a minute before I wipe off the rest of the shaving cream. So I'm going to put this to the side and I'm going to make another one. So every time you make another one, you can change the swirl a little bit. You can add more color. You can add the same colors or a different color and see how it changes. And we're going to want to make several papers so that we can have lots of options to choose from when we're making our collage later. So try different color combinations. Maybe you want to make one that just has a few swirls and one that has a lot of swirls. Just try a bunch of different things. This is a really fun part of this project. Okay, so I made a whole lot of papers with the green, yellow, and blue food coloring, and this is what my pan looks like afterwards. So I can keep using this until there's no food coloring, or I can scoop out the shaving cream until it's clean on the top, and I can add new colors for kind of a clean slate. So that's what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna use the rest of my papers making a new color scheme. But first, I want to show you what different papers I got. So these were the ones at the beginning. So you can tell I only had 2 colors on there. There's lots of white space where there was shaving cream showing through. And then I added blue, and it started to get more and more swirly. I believe on this one I added more yellow. So I got more yellow kind of spots in there. This one looks a little bit more blurry than the other ones, and that's because I didn't put more food coloring in between. I just pulled up one piece of paper and then put another piece of paper down, and that is definitely an option. Sometimes we want that more blurry effect, so that works too. And then these are the ones I did towards the end, and they have a lot of color. There's not a lot of white space, but there's some little white spots in there which still look pretty cool. So now I'm gonna take a paper towel and I'm gonna wipe off the shaving cream that's on top of the paper. The food coloring shouldn't blend around too much. Once it's on the paper, it pretty much stays there. And then I'm going to scoop out my shaving cream from my pan and fill it up with new shaving cream and new colors. Once your papers are dry from the marbling, it's time to start our swirly spring bouquet collage. So I have all my papers that I marbled up there, and then I have color paper, I have some colored fluorescent printer paper, and then I also have some construction paper, and then a little bit of tissue paper as well. And you can choose any kind of paper. Again, it can be colored paper, it could also be newspapers, magazines, anything that you think would add cool element to your collage. And then I also have my scissors and glue stick, and as an option, if you like to sketch out your design first, you can grab a pencil. And if you would like to add detail later on top of your collage, you can grab a pen or Sharpie or markers. So those are just an option. For a collage, all we need to do is cut and paste. So this is a time to think about what shapes you want. Do you want to be inspired by a beautiful blossoming tree down your block? Or do you want to think of something from your imagination? It's up to you. So we're gonna start cutting and pasting, and I'm gonna cut out different colors of paper and different colors of my marbled paper to create a beautiful spring bouquet. So let's go. So I looked for my marble paper that has the most green on it, because for my base layer of my collage, I'm gonna start with just a bunch of different shapes of leaves. And you can plan this out beforehand if you want to draw the shapes and then cut the paper to match what you've drawn. I kind of like, when I'm doing a collage, I like to just go for cutting shapes and then rearrange them on my paper before I glue them. So I'm just gonna cut out a bunch of different leafy shapes and then arrange them, move them around until I get what I want to stick with, and then I will glue it. I like to use every little bit of paper that I can. So especially with this marble paper that we work so hard to create, we want to use all the little pieces. So I'm even going to take this little piece and make a tiny leaf. Maybe I'll use that on the edge. We'll see. Put any extra pieces over here, and I might use them later. I'm doing a variety of large shapes and small shapes, so I have lots of options. Okay, so I've cut out a variety of green shapes for leaves. I used construction paper and my marbled paper just to kind of give it a little bit of a balance. And of course you can choose whatever papers you want. Even for a bouquet, you don't have to have green in there. So remember, it's all up to you. So next I'm gonna cut out some flower shapes. So I'm gonna start with yellow. I really wanna have a sunflower-ish kind of flower in my bouquet. And I wanted to show a trick for cutting symmetrical petals. So if you want your petals to look the same on both sides, kind of like this one, you can fold your paper in half. You don't have to fold the whole thing in half. If you just need skinny petals, you can fold just a piece of it. And then, my scissors are backwards. And then cut along here. So for a sunflower leaf, it's kind of wider at the bottom and then gets skinnier at the top. Okay, so there we go, there's a petal. I might make it a little smaller, I'm not sure yet. Then I'm gonna make several of these, and I'm gonna make a sunflower, and then I'm gonna add some other flowers around there. I have not glued down my green leaves yet because I want the option of being able to go back and move them if I want. But that's your personal choice. If you would rather have them go ahead and be stuck down, then go for it. Okay, let's cut some flowers. all my flower shapes. These aren't glued down yet, but I did glue down the leaves behind there. So what I did was I just decided to overlap a bunch of shapes. So you can see I did this kind of sunflowery flower, and then for the center of it, I used a brown circle, and then I cut out a circle of my swirly paper. So that is key for a collage when you're putting a whole lot of stuff together on top of each other. See if you can make them contrasting. So you can see how the swirly color is different from the brown. So that means those two shapes, those two pieces of paper contrast against each other. And so it helps them stand out. So same thing with the other flowers. I tried to make the center of them contrast from the petals. So that way you can kind of see they're all flowers and they're all kind of in this bouquet together. Even though there's a lot of different shapes, you'll be able to tell what it is in the end. So now I'm gonna start gluing down each piece, and I'm gonna need to carefully pick these up and move them over. And I'm just gonna kind of remember where I put them. And if it's not exactly what it looks like right now in the end, that's okay, because I'm just collaging as I go. Okay, so I've glued down all my flower shapes, and as you could see, I just decided which ones I wanted to be on the bottom, and I glued those first, and then I glued the rest on top of those. So now it kind of looks like some flowers are behind others and some flowers are on the top. And I even had a little white spot, and I just cut an extra leaf and filled in the spot there, so that happens. So now my bouquet is finished. I could add anything in the edges if I wanted to, maybe draw some little designs or color it in. If you like for your shapes to be really bold and stick out, you can outline them with a black marker or any color marker, or pen or Sharpie. You could even draw detailed lines like the veins of a leaf, things like that. That is all an option. So I am excited to see what everyone makes, and I hope you all enjoy doing your paper marbling and then cutting up shapes for your collage today. We hope to see you next week. We'll be back with another activity. Take care.